I'm getting married in 2 months, so I don't know if this was the type of movie I should be seeing given those circumstances on the way. But I didn't say I made good decisions. So the drama is a romantic dark comedy, emphasis on the dark, starring Zendaya and Robert Pattinson. They play an engaged couple. Their wedding is about a week away. They're getting ready for the big day. They're happily in love. They're excited for it. One night though, they're hanging out, having some drinks with her maid of honor and his best man. They go around the table and they all ask themselves, hey, what's the worst thing you've ever done in your life? They go around, they all mention it, everyone's laughing, everyone's talking about it, but when they get to Zendaya and then she mentions the worst thing she's ever done, the vibes completely shift. Because she legitimately says the worst thing she's ever done, and everyone at the table gets very quiet, becomes profoundly disturbed, is visibly upset with her. Robert Pattinson in particular is now sitting there completely flabbergasted, and he's all like, oh, I didn't know this about you at all, and we're getting married in a week? Fuck. So now it's Zendaya trying to alleviate her image to Robert Pattinson, and Robert Pattinson trying to figure out if he can go through with this marriage given this new information. I didn't really know anything about this movie. I saw maybe one trailer for this movie, but even still, the trailer did a good job of not really showing what it was about. I knew Zendaya and Robert Pattinson were getting married. That was that. And I'll start off with our two leads. Yeah, Zendaya and Robert Pattinson, they both crush it in this movie. And I'm gonna say this right now. This being the first of 3 movies that they are starring in together, and the other 2 being The Odyssey and Dune Part 3, what a start for these two. I really liked their chemistry in this movie. You completely buy into at the beginning where, we learn more about their story, how they met, how they fell in love, what it is they really enjoy about one another. You could see that. It felt real. I liked the banter they had back and forth. I loved the way they were able to communicate in the beginning. Like, they really did feel like a couple that's been together for a long time and one that's ready to get married. And on the flip side of it, I really do love the question that this movie then poses when the big, secret Zendaya has been hiding, well, not really hiding, she just hasn't really talked about it ever, is finally revealed. How well do you know the person you love most? Like, if you found out something about your significant other that you had no idea of and it was really bad, how much would that change your relationship? And that, I think, right there is going to be the big driving force of this movie. In some ways, it kind of makes it the perfect date movie. Like, in fact, I would encourage all couples to see this movie. Because undeniably, you're going to drive home together as soon as the movie's over, and you're not only going to ask yourselves, oh, if one person had done what Zendaya had done, would you be able to look past it? Or, and I could totally see it being one of those things, like one person could pull the whole, oh, well, in Zendaya's case, she was very young and, she didn't actually do the thing. But on the other hand, the other person will be like, yeah, but she actually thought about doing something completely unspeakable. Like, that's fucked up. Could lead to an argument that gets heated the same way we talk about politics. But regardless, it is interesting in that sense. But it could also lead to couples asking each other more tough questions. It's like, is there anything from your past that I should know about? The movie just presented that question, like, you think you might know someone extremely well until you don't. And both these actors did a great job at portraying how each of these characters are handling it. In Zendaya's case, she feels like she should have kept her mouth shut. She feels stupid. She's feeling very alone, very judged. She's trying to let people know, it's like, look, I know it's fucked up and it's bad, but I was really young and this had happened to me. It's like you can't unring the bell. At this point, her maid of honor, her best friend wants nothing to do with her. Robert Pattinson is now seriously contemplating if he wants to marry her. It's leading to fights, it's leading to arguments, it's leading to serious tension between her and the people that she loves, and it sucks for her. Like, you do feel for her in that sense. But I do appreciate the movie also did a good job at using flashbacks back to Zendaya's childhood to show what led her down a really fucked up path. Not that it makes it okay, not that it's an excuse or anything like that, but it does provide an explanation, which is important, because you would hate to think that someone just woke up wanting to do what she did or intended to do. I'm really trying to be vague here for you guys. And Robert Pattinson on the other side of it, he does a great job at portraying someone who just got an absolute bomb dropped on his lap. Because in his case, he still looks at Zendaya and it's like, yeah, I've been with you this long and I have loved you and I've really enjoyed this time with you and I love you for who you are now, not for who you were in the past, but wow, that was really rough to just learn. So now he starts doing that thing. I'm sure we've all done this before. You're trying to give yourself some sort of closure. So what he does is he's trying to talk to individual people about the news he's learned. Like he tries to throw the scenario at them. Now he doesn't include that, his fiance, is the doer of the deed, but he tries to throw it on somebody else like, hey, if your partner did this, would you be able to forgive it, because it was in the past, it was a long time ago, and you love them and shit? But what I love is when all the look at him, it's like, no, because that's psychopathic, and that's fucked up, and that's horrible, and he's all like, yeah, you're right, but I need you to give me a reason to stay right now. And you feel bad for him because he's just completely breaking down as a human being, just mentally, physically. I mean, he's trying to do so much to try to right the situation that has happened and, try to reassure people that Zendaya is a good person, even people who have absolutely no idea what the fuck he's talking about when it comes to her. And that is what really works with this movie. This movie is remarkably funny, but not more so in a laugh till you hurt kind of funny, but situationally funny, because you see the way it's just affected these two, and it leads to obviously some distance, and both become kind of cold from each other, especially at a time where, they should be so in love more than ever. Like, there's one scene they go to meet with the photographer, and she's like, hey, let me take a couple photos of you guys, and they don't want to be remotely near each other. They have to, force smiles. It's so uncomfortable to watch, but you can't help but laugh. And yeah, we get to the final act of this movie. I mean... You want to talk about everything going to shit in all the wrong ways? It happens. Again, Robert Pattinson, he just can't help himself. He's trying to right the wrong, right the situation when really there's nothing he can do, but he can't help but feel he has to try because he loves Zendaya so much and he feels like if he just does certain things here and there, he can fix it or alleviate it, but he completely screws everything up and it just turns into like a 5-car crash. That's not actually what happens, but it feels like it. Like there are things he says, things he does. My jaw was on the floor. I'm like running my hands through my hair. I'm like losing my shit. I'm like, dude, just shut the fuck up. Just please shut up. Like it's horrible, but you cannot look away. And yeah, it's just... You're entertained from it, but you really feel for these characters. If there are any flaws I have with this movie, I will say, the movie doesn't end abruptly, but it didn't really end with the resolution that I wanted. Like I said, the final act happens, and it's completely disastrous, it's ridiculous, it's nuts, and it's really bad. And you feel like there needs to be a lot that needs to be atoned for, and talked about, and discussed, and, things clearly need to be worked out here. But no, it kind of just feels like everyone just decides, just move forward and never speak of it again. Now granted, I don't know if that's what happens, the movie just cuts off right there and that's kind of just how we see it, but I don't know. I would have liked a little bit more than that. Also, I think this movie really benefits from the fact that it's one of those movies like when you go into it and you know as little as possible and then the movie unfolds the way it does, it's such a surprise and that's part of the delight of the movie that once you know exactly what this movie's about and the way it unfolds, not that you can't watch it again, but it's gonna feel nowhere near as satisfying as the first go round. Not this is a movie that I wouldn't watch again. Would I see it again? Sure. But it is the type of movie that I don't know if it just has that same flair that it would have on a second viewing as opposed to its first one. So all in all, the drama, I had a really good time with this movie. The two leads, Zendaya and Robert Pattinson, they kill it in this movie. I thought both of them did a great job for exactly what each character needed to do. Situationally, the movie has some pretty messed up moments, the kind that will have you laughing, have your jaw on the floor. The movie does prevent some extremely thought-provoking questions, like how much are we defined by our past? What kind of mistakes? Can you look past? Can you forgive? What can make you change your perception of a person you really love entirely? The movie was very well edited as well. I liked how it went back in time, showing the progression in their relationship, showing Zendaya's childhood, help you get a better understanding of her. It was just a very well told story. I wouldn't change anything about the way they pulled that off. I do fear it could lose a little bit of the magic that I got out of the very first viewing from it, but I will say this much. This is a movie that, since I've seen it, I have only been thinking about it since then. So it's definitely a movie that stays with you in the best way. So I gotta give it that. In the end, I didn't know what to expect going into the drama, but I left very happy with what I got. I'm kind of debating what rating I want to give this movie because, again, I'm going back between, it's like, well, it may not have the same flair on the second viewing, but I haven't stopped thinking about it. Alright, I'm going to grade it on how I view it right now. So for right now, I'm going to give the drama a 7 out of 10, which does absolutely make it worth going to the movies for.
Hey, come on, hurry up, Brian. I don't want to miss the movie trivia slides before the movie.
But I could very easily see myself in time loving this movie more, thinking this movie's better than I initially rated it. I could see this being one of those fine wine type of movies, you know, ones that only get better the more you think about it. So that's all I gotta say, guys. Thank you so much for watching my video, and as always, don't forget to leave a comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you all next time.